for joining us for Digital Boost Excel. Can you all hear me? Can everyone hear me? Angelina, yes, I think everyone can hear. Okay, so Angela, if you want to maybe check your sound, if you go to your audio settings, use the three dots at the top of your screen and click on device settings, and it will allow you to test your audio. Okay, so we will use the chat function, and Jackie will be sharing her screen. This will be a practical session. The recording will be made available both on our YouTube channel and on Future Skills Week. I am going to now put myself on mute so I'm not interfering with anyone. And Jackie, thanks very much.
Thanks very much, Kathy, and hello everybody, and thanks for joining me today. If I'm, hello, yes, nice waves. If I'm kind of looking over here, it means you're all over in this screen, and when I'm looking here, this is my Excel spreadsheet. So, but it is nice to see some lovely friendly faces, so thank you for joining me today. Yeah, today we only have about half an hour, so going to run through some quick tips and tricks on working with large worksheets, large amounts of data, how to easily navigate it, manipulate it, format it, all the rest of it. Because when you go out into a workplace, and I've worked in banking and finance in my previous life, and let me tell you, we worked with large amounts of data. And learning those tips and tricks to be able to easily navigate it, find the information you're looking for is so important. So you're not faffing about for long periods of time and wasting your day. And when you go out into a workplace, that is something that employers ask us about a lot, is do your students have Excel skills? Are they good on Excel? We get asked this all the time. And I think with the numbers of people who have booked in to the sessions today goes to prove that actually you guys are all saying, yeah, we need more Excel skills. So hopefully today you will pick up some tips and tricks that you didn't know before. I'm a big fan of the 4 boxes of knowledge. So there's at times there'll be stuff that you know that you know. There will be things that you know that you don't know. There actually might even be things that you don't know that you already know. So in other words, you think you don't know how to do something, but actually you do. You just didn't know that's what you used to actually do it, to apply it. So hopefully that will bring that learning together. And then there'll be times when it's just new stuff that you just did not know you even existed. So what I would say is today, be patient with each other as well, because there may be things that you know that others don't on this session. So look, we're all here to learn together, so it's going to be hopefully good fun. Now, I'm going to share my screen with you, so hopefully you can all see my lovely spreadsheet. And we're going to kick off. By the way, sorry, the spreadsheets I'm using today, what I can do is, if you would like a couple of these sample spreadsheets just to play around with and practice, I'm happy to email those to you. And especially this one here, because there's something like 9,000 rows of data. So that's quite a nice one to play with, all right? You can tell I get a wee bit excited by Excel. I'm sorry, that's just me. So we're going to start with this very large worksheet. As I say, we scroll down, there's rows and rows and rows of data, and it would take us all day to get to the bottom. So a couple of quick tips is, if you want to get to the very end of a worksheet, and I'm going to send you a quick tip sheet as well, is you just hit Control and End. So the Control button and the End button will take you to the very last cell of the spreadsheet, and that is row 9995. Now you can see that if you were doing that, that would take you all day to scroll. So I'm going to hit Control and Home, and that takes me back to cell A1, back to the very top. So there's quick tip number 1. Another tip then is using things like named ranges. and your named range is up in here in the name box. Okay, so we can see here at the moment I'm clicked into cell A1. Now, if I particularly was working on maybe a named range down the way down in the 2000s, instead of me having to scroll down there to get there, what I can do is I can set what's called a named range and quickly jump to it. So in true Blue Peter style, here's one I did earlier, and we've got a named range called decaying. So when I click this, watch what happens. So we jump to row 6,275, and we've got Dennis Kane. So how did I do that? Well, let's find another one. Let's go for Nat Gilpin. I'm going to just say, well, I'm working with this customer quite a lot. I want to be able to jump to his orders very quickly in the spreadsheet. I'm going to select all the cells there in that range with his name. Go up to my name box, and this is the trick about name boxes, no spaces. Okay, so type in N Gilpin, all right, no spaces, hit return, and that is now saved in my name boxes. I'm going to go back up to cell A1, which again, if you type A1 into your name box and hit enter, that'll take you back up to the beginning. Kathy has a question.
Yes, sorry, there's a couple of questions in the chat box for people who are using Macs, Jackie. They said they don't have a home or an end button.
Oh. Okay, Mac. Right. Good question. So I'll tell you what, you see questions like that I may not know the answer to immediately. Can you put them in the chat? I am doing a mop-up session on Friday morning, and what I'll do is, if you want to come to that session, I'll answer those questions there, or if you want to put some questions in the chat, I can maybe deal, what do you think, Kathy? Maybe deal with all the questions and just do one email with answers or something like that.
Yep, well, Friday session link is going into the chat box now, so okay. I would recommend that as a follow-up. Potentially then we'll deal with anything that's been asked.
Yeah, because there's going to be, I know there's going to be lots of questions today, but we've got 20 minutes left, and I'm not even halfway through my navigation yet. Okay, so, but keep asking the questions. That's okay. That's what we're here for. All right, and we will deal with them at some point. Okay, so navigation, so that's your name box. Okay, quite handy, nice little easy way to navigate around a very large set of data. We've also got another way, which most of you should know at this stage, and that's your sort and filter. So one of the things I always say is in spreadsheets, data needs to make sense. Okay, so you need to have column headings or row labels so that you can identify what that data is. If I didn't have this data here, or sorry, those headings, you can see that, I mean, what is this? I don't know. But when you see it's got an order ID, you go, that's the order ID. Okay, that makes sense. Always label and your data, all right? So it has to make sense. To set a filter, you just click on any cell in the row, go up to your home tab, click on sort and filter, and hit filter. And what that does is it just very quickly puts in a filter line where it allows you to sort either up or down, ascending or descending. You can deselect and just select one particular row that you want to look at. As you can see, that looks as if the rest of the data has disappeared. It hasn't. It's just shrunk up, so you're only viewing one thing. And to get that back, just click on select all and hit OK, and it all magically reappears. Okay, so that's great. It's a great thing to do, sort and filter. Now, another thing, and most of you will know that, another thing you can do is, and it's really annoying, how many people get annoyed when you scroll up and your headings disappear? Yeah, okay. So to fix that problem, we have in the View tab a button, lovely button called Freeze Panes. All right, so Freeze Panes allows you to scroll and still view your columns or your row labels. Now what you can do is you can just say freeze top row, and as I scroll, my top row stays where it is. Lovely, very handy, okay? Or I can say freeze first column, and when I scroll across this way, my first column stays where it is. Brilliant. But what if I want to freeze the first column and the top row? Well, what you do is you go to, and I'm just on freeze panes first of all, you go to the cell to the right and below the column and the row that you want to freeze, and click on freeze panes, the top selection there. So it means when I scroll up or down, sorry, my heading stays at the top, and when I scroll across, my row stays, my column stays at the left. Now, give me a thumbs up if you like that. Yeah, okay, excellent. All right, so there's lovely tip, another tip. Right, let's see how many tips we can get through. I think we should set a Guinness World Book of Records or something for this. Oh yes, split view. So this is another very, very cool thing. Again, large amount of data. Maybe we need to work with data that is way down the worksheet, but compare it to data that's at the top. How can you see both at the same time? Well, what we can do, and I'm just going to unfreeze panes. No, I'm going to actually keep freeze panes. Yeah, that's fine. What we can do is we can do a split. Okay, so I'm going to scroll down, sort of down here somewhere, row 3000 odd, and I'm going to say, okay, well, we want to have a look at Stephen Cartwright stuff here. So I'm going to click into this row and I'm going to hit split. Okay, and what that does, oh, okay, sorry, it did not work. Well, it did work. Okay. There we go. Right, so what that does is it puts a split. You can see that little grey border, and puts it there. And if you hover over that, it gives you an up and down arrow, which means you can click and drag up and down. So you could view rows 1 to 16 and scroll up and down in this section. Or if you click into the bottom one, you can scroll up and down from rows 3000. So that's quite handy, being able to view the top of a worksheet and way down a worksheet whenever you've got lots of data. And to get rid of the split, just click on split again, and that disappears and takes you back to normal. Okay? Everybody with me so far? I know I'm going quite fast, but I do want to get through as much as I can here. Okay. Okay, so another one is to very quickly jump to some data. We've got, we're going to go back to the Home tab, and we're going to go to Find and Select, and go to, you know about, I'm hoping you know about Go To and you know about Find and Replace, but we're going to go to Special. So Go To Special allows you to go to, say for instance, something's happening where you're trying to calculate data and you keep getting error messages or something like that. And that could be because you have blank cells in the middle of your table that you didn't realize. And that completely screws up your calculations. So what you can do is you can say jump to blanks. Now, I don't think I have any blanks actually, but click on jump to blanks and hit OK. And that what that does is it very quickly takes you, you can see it's thinking about it, but it would very quickly take you to a blank cell. Okay, so let's see if I do actually take somebody out. I don't want to go down the sheet too far because then I have to put them back in again. But we'll take this name out and we'll try it. So Find and Select, go to Special, hit blanks, and OK. So what that should do is in the table, it should take us to the blank cell. And it did. So it's jumped down to that blank cell. I'm going to undo now and put Andrew back in there. Okay, so that's another wee tip. And where are we at now? Oh yes. So I think we'll move on now to formatting. Yes, we will. Okay. So that's a few navigation tips. I have another navigation tip for you. Will I do it now? Yes, I will. Okay, so another navigation tip, and that is I'm going to go down to the very end of the worksheet. I'm going to pop in a quick Autosum function here and drag that across to get all my totals. Okay, so what I want to do is, this is down in cell 9,000 odd, right? Isn't it? Yeah. What I want to do is I want to watch this total and see what happens. But if I'm working at the top of the worksheet, I'm not going to scroll up and down to watch that total and see what it does. So I'm going to create what's called a watch window. Okay, so that is cell U9996. All right, and I'm going to go to where's my watch window? Sorry, my watch window has disappeared on me. There it is, formulas. I'm going to click on watch window. I'm going to click add watch, and it's saying in here, it's given me the cell number because I'm clicked into it, and hit add. Okay, so what happens is this little window, I've popped it up there, you don't have to, but this little window will stay on your screen. If I go back to the start of my spreadsheet, so say for instance I change the quantity of somebody's order, I want to see maybe what the total changes to. So I'm going to change the quantity to 22, for instance, and you're going to watch this figure here under value, and I hit enter, and that should have changed. Oh no, why did that not change? Okay, this is a good tip. Oh, it did change. Did it change? No, it didn't. Well, that's because profit didn't change. Oh, that's why. There's no calculation in there. Somebody has messed up my spreadsheet. Okay, let's change the profit, because that's the profit is the window, the column that I'm watching. So say we change the profit to 400. So if we do that, then that changes the value. So can you see that works? Okay, so that's quite a handy way of watching what an answer does, depending on what another cell in that column is doing, or what you've done to the calculation. Okay, so that's quite handy. Okay, everybody with me? Yeah? All right, formatting tips. So we've got the usual formatting, you know, your font, your text font, your size, your color, all that, shading, all that kind of stuff. But we've also got other formatting tips for spreadsheets, and hopefully you all know about wrap text, but if you don't, let's go over to the product name. So product name, if we double click on the column, we can see that this makes our column very wide. All right, we don't want it that wide. It's going to be a nightmare whenever you're looking through it or printing it out. So let's wrap text. So to do that, you just click on the column letter, and you're going to click on wrap text. And all that does is it just puts the text underneath each other and spreads it out a bit and makes it easier to read. Okay, so you can do that for any column where you find that you can't read everything that's there. Another tip is, say for instance this one here, you're only missing a couple of letters really. Okay, so wrap text, you don't really want to do that, but what you might want to do is just shrink text. So shrink text is quite cool. So we click on the column, right click and hit format cells, go to alignment, and click on shrink to fit. Okay, hit OK, and what that does is it just shrinks your text down very quickly to, oh, somebody's sound is on, could you mute please, guys? Thanks. Just shrinks your text down so that it fits within that column and you don't need to change it. All right. Okie dokie, where are we getting to now? Yes, so let's go to printing. Printing large worksheets is a complete nightmare. Number one, when we go to this particular one and hit print, we've got 1,444 pages. Not really very environmentally friendly. So what we'll want to do is a few things to try and tidy this up. Number one, only print the data you need to print. So there's a few ways of tidying that up. Number one is you can hide the columns or the rows that you don't want. So row one, say row A, I don't need to print out the row ID. You just right click on that and hit hide. Okay, when we go back to print and print preview, you'll see that row one is not going to print out. So that's quite handy. Okay, and you can do that for lots and lots of rows or lots of columns. So that's number one. Number two is you want to make sure that you are printing, when you're printing, you're printing out stuff that can actually be seen. So for instance, if we go to the product ID here, we can see that it only goes up to that number there on the spreadsheet, but up in the formula bar, there's a load of numbers that aren't showing up, and those won't print. And that is important. So you do need to make sure that any data you need to print is going to be visible. So you do need to make sure those columns are expanded out. All right, so that's another tip. Print area is another great way of reducing the amount of paper that you need. So if, for instance, you only need to print out Brosina Hoffman's orders, well then just print Brosina Hoffman's orders. So you can just click and drag across to whatever it is you need down there and go to page layout and hit print area and set print area. Okay. When you do this and go to print, can you see you've only got her orders there? Now, what you may notice is we still got 3 pages. So we don't want that. So here's a few quick tips for getting everything on one page and saving the trees, which Olivia McKee will be very happy about because she is our environmental sustainability person. So what we're going to do is we're going to, first of all, change the orientation to landscape. Okay, great. We're down to 2 pages. Excellent. How can we get this into 1 page? Okay, so there's a couple of tips. You can either change your margins to narrow. That might bring it down a wee bit. Still hasn't done enough. Let's go to scaling and fit all columns on 1 page. And there we are, we're down to 1 page. Yay, we've saved the planet. Okay, so that's a quick tip of how to print out large amounts of data. The other thing I would say is remember to go back and clear your print area once you've done that, okay? Because then when you go to print other stuff, you get really confused as to why the whole worksheet isn't printing. So clear print area. Another printing tip is, you know how annoying it is when you print something out and the headings are on the first page, but not on the second, third, fourth, fifth, and then you have to sellotape everything together to find out where the rows are. So what you can do is repeat your row, your heading row, on every single page. And to do that, go to print titles and go to rows to repeat at top and just click on the row that you want to repeat at top. Now, say for instance you have 2 or 3 rows at the top of your screen that you want to repeat at the top of every page, that's fine. Just click and drag down all of the rows that you want to repeat at the top. And the same goes for, I'm just going to click row 1, same goes for columns to repeat at the left. If you want to make sure that as you go across pages that column appears on every single page, then you can go to columns to repeat at left and click on the column that you want to repeat at the left. Is everybody with me? Is this making sense? Yeah. Now it can be any column. I'm just choosing that one because it makes sense. It's the order ID, and that's what I do want to read right across the screen. Okay. Once I hit print preview, that will then show me that there we are, page 1 of 212, still got a lot of pages. There's the heading at the top. If I go to page 2, you can see the headings at the top and everything is there. Okay. Are these tips helping? Give me a wee wave or a thumbs up. Yay, good, okay. We love large amounts of data, don't we? So, where are we getting to? Oh, we've got 1 minute left, right. Oh, yes, right, I do want to show you this. I'm going to move from my large worksheet and I am going to go to another worksheet because I've got a really cool thing to show you. Let me see. Okay, can you all see this new worksheet called Employee List? Happy days. All right. How many people get really annoyed when you have a spreadsheet with people's first and surname in the same cell? Yeah, okay, very annoying. So let's split their names into first name in one column and surname in another column really quickly, like a split. So I'm going to click, first of all, I'm going to create a blank column for the surname to go into. I'm going to click on column C. I'm going to go to data, and we're going to go to a lovely button called text to columns. It's my favorite button. And we go there and say, what do you want to do? We need to split the data? Oh, sorry. I forgot to insert my column. I'm not busy talking. Insert column. Right, now we're going to go to data, text to columns. No, we're not. I'm going too fast today. Text to columns. Okay, select the data you want to split, text to columns, and we're going to say delimited. So in other words, characters such as commas or tabs or spaces actually are there to separate each field, or you can do fixed width where fields are aligned in columns with spaces between each field. So we click on fixed width, that's okay because there is a space there, and hit next. No, we don't, sorry. Sorry, my brain is really turning to mush here. We're going to delimited and hit next. And we're going to click on space and untick tab. And can you see that that automatically puts in a column margin in between the first name and the second name? Okay, so that's quite cool. We hit next, just make sure it's all lined up properly, it's in the right format, general is fine, and hit finish. It says there's already data there. Do you want to replace it? Hit OK. There is no data there, it's blank. And then that just pops that into first and second name. Okay. Now, what you might have noticed is it has, for some reason, it has put Anthony Taylor in as the name heading. So we're going to fix that now. Because what I did was I inadvertently selected the heading instead of just the data. So I'm going to put surname in here. I'm going to select the data again, text to columns, delimited, next, and finish. Okay, so that has fixed it. All right, so that's a very quick way of splitting your data. What was the next thing I was going to show you? Yeah, okay, so we've got 2 wee bits left to do, and that's us done for this morning. And I will take a few questions because my next session doesn't. What time's the next session start? 1:45, Kathy? I think.
Yep, sorry, I'm not sure if you can see me. I'm nodding away. I'm not
Oh,
sure where
yes,
I
so
am on
that's
your
okay. No,
screen.
I can. You're over another screen, right? So, yes, here's a couple. Here's 2 new little buttons that you may not have seen before or used before. One is called quick analysis. So if I just say, for instance, excuse me, I want to get a total of this salary column, I'm going to just click and drag down to the last piece of data. And if you notice, there's a little tiny quick analysis icon now appears. When you click that, you can do lots of little quick things like formatting, charts, totals, tables, spark lines, etc. I'm going to choose totals and I'm going to pop in just the sum. Okay, so that's a quick way of being able to do that. And you may say, oh, whoop-de-doo, I can just do Autosum, that's the same thing, and that is absolutely great. But what if you want a running total? Well, again, we need a little column to put our running total into. So I'm going to insert a column here. And I'm going to select the text again, or sorry, the data again. Click on my quick analysis tool, click on totals, and I'm going to hit running total. I'm going to go over to the columns now. So you can see the blue will put the totals down in a row, and the yellow will put it down in a column. So if I go to running total, click there, and you can see that very handily pops in a wee running total for me to the side. That's nice. I like that. Okay. Another thing that you can do is, I'm just going to pull my totals across here. Oh, by the way, if you ever see hashes, you know that you can it just means your column isn't wide enough for your data. So just double click and that gets rid of your hashes. Okay. Don't panic, it's not an error. Okay, so one last thing to show you is, this is quite a small table, so it's not too bad, but can you imagine if that was like the other one, 9,000 odd rows? That would be a complete nightmare to analyze. So you can do another thing where if you, again, select your data and your quick analysis button, you can go to tables and, no, where is it? That was interesting because, let's try this one. You should be able to see a pivot table. Okay, that's interesting because pivot table came up earlier. But we'll go to another one. We'll go to this button here called Analyze Data on the very far right of the home page. I'll have to look at that later and figure out why that's not working, because it worked before I came on the call, I promise. Go to Analyze Data. So when you go to Analyze Data, what that does is it selects your data and it will say things like which fields interest you the most, is it your monthly salary, annual salary? It'll pop in a pivot table for you. So what this does is basically you can insert a pivot table and it'll actually calculate the salaries, etc., for each of the different locations for you. So it'll do it all for you there. So that's quite a handy analyze data tool. I'm going to switch back to this large worksheet because I think it works better in this one. If I go to analyze data for this, now this is quite cool. Say for instance, I wanted to figure out which is my best customer, which customer has bought the most. Okay, so if I pop this in here and I say, which customer has most sales, okay, and hit enter. What that does is it brings me back the customer ID and this is the customer who has actually spent the most amount of money. Now, is that not cool? I think that's really cool. And then you can just go to that customer ID and figure out who it is and then send them a lovely present because he did the most sales. So that's analyze data. You can do lots of things. You can do pivot table graphs, you can do charts, and you can just, if you scroll down, you can see there's lots of things that it will do for you automatically, or you can type in your own question and it will analyze it for you. All right, guys, that is us for today. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'm sorry that was so quick, but I did want to share as many tips as possible with you this morning, and I hope that you find some new gems of information that you feel are going to be helpful. And that's me. Thank you very much, everybody.
I will stop the recording now.
That's good. Oh, thanks, everybody. And as I say, in Excel, I